The hurricane season has just sprung to life. What does that mean for us and elsewhere in the world? Also, why is this the best year to be drinking cider? And why do Volvo indicators sound like snapping branches?
Do we need a good reason to be drinking cider? Hello and welcome to Square Raindrop. I'm Jo Wheeler.
And I'm Steph Galter.
So, Steffi, you say that the hurricane season has finally got going. I mean, it is September already.
Yes, it was a fairly quiet up till now, but now it's really got going. And it's not only actually the hurricane season that's got going, we've also seen some pretty lively typhoons as well.
So, where are they at the moment?
Well, we've got one old hurricane that's just edging across parts of Spain and Portugal, bringing really severe weather there. It's no longer a hurricane, of course, but it is still packing a punch. So, really strong winds, really heavy rain, and some ferocious waves as well. Then, if we wind back to what's ramping up still, we've got Umberto, which looks like at the moment is heading towards Bermuda. So that will be pretty frightening for them. And we've also got another storm pulling itself together, which will be called Imelda when it becomes a named storm.
And Imelda is following Ernesto.
It's actually just to the west. And the trouble you have when you get two of these storms really close to each other is they start to interact. They kind of do this weird dance around each other. It's called the Fujiwara effect. And what it means for forecasters is that it's really difficult to pinpoint exactly where they're going to go. And these things, as you can imagine, are absolutely massive beasts. They do take up like the whole of the atmosphere from the surface right up to the top. So where they go is vitally important for where our weather will be and what happens to the jet stream and things. So as these things are swirling around each other, then it causes mayhem for all long range forecasts. And that's why, Jo, if you look at your long range forecast, and I'm talking, 7 to 10 days, if you look at that forecast today, tomorrow, the day after, it's likely to be going from black to white to black to white again. It will not get it right because these storms are huge.
Well, I did notice in the press today that some papers are saying Indian summer on its way, and others are saying the exact date when 2 centimetres per hour of snow will fall.
Well, maybe the snow will come in the middle of the Indian summer and just confuse everyone even more. Or maybe it's just newspapers just trying to get a few more clicks.
Now, of course, we do see the remnants of hurricanes coming across the UK and Ireland. And as you say, they're not hurricanes anymore because they've lost all the potential to gain energy. But this hurricane that's approaching Spain and Portugal, surely in those warmer climes, it's going to maintain some ferocity.
No, because what happens to them, Jo, is they have this really warm core and they need a temperature of the sea to be at least 27 degrees. Once it's under that, it kind of goes, oh, I just can't do it anymore. So they don't just disappear. They can often become just a kind of regular storm from our climate. So for our part of the world, so the little low pressures that we see, it transitions into them. But what happens, it doesn't necessarily get lots easier and and weaker and things. It can become the same strength or a similar strength but over a larger area. So that was the problem with Hurricane Sandy. I don't know if you remember Sandy that hit New York. That was a massive storm and it was a hurricane, and then as it transitioned to extra tropical, people thought, oh great, it's no longer a hurricane, well, all things are good. But it actually just, its wind field spread out more. So whereas a hurricane would have really a tight center where all the strongest winds would be, these kind of regular storms that we see, low pressures in our area, they're bigger. So we got a bigger field of winds, and that's what caused some of the problems. It was just huge.
Now, interestingly, we've got one hurricane following the track of another. And then around the world, we've got Typhoon Regassa being quickly followed by, oh, I'm going to forget the name now, Bordeloy.
Something like that. My pronunciation has never been good in even English, actually. So we'll leave that as it is. But yes, so what you often have with these tropical storms is you have a setup in the upper atmosphere that is like really good for cultivating these storms. Now, when it comes to the Americas, you often start off with a cluster of thunderstorms kind of popping off the west coast of Africa, trundling across the Atlantic. Then it will come under this bit of the atmosphere that just happens to be really well set up to develop these storms. And poof, that one will go up, followed by the next one. Poof, that one will become a storm as well. So it looks like the same thing's happening over Asia as well. We've just got a really good setup in the atmosphere that's really good for developing these storms. And then along comes a cluster of thunderstorms and poof, up it goes.
I have to say, Steph, you're a bit pony today.
Pony? What's pony?
A little horse?
Oh, nay. Yes, very much so. Or a frog, probably, given the number of frogs in my house at the moment.
Why have you got frogs in your house? I knew about the children and I'm aware of the cat, but the frogs?
Yeah, so Milo, my oldest, has a fish tank and he has a couple of fish, some shrimps, a snail called Trunky. Don't go there. And we've also got two African dwarf frogs that are fully aquatic and they just swim up to the top every now and then to gulp some air and then go back down. And they are clearly really happy, Joe. Do you want to know how I know?
Tell me.
Because they've got jiggy with it. We've got baby frogs. By that I mean tadpoles, obviously, but millions of them. But these things are absolutely minute. They are smaller than a pinhead. And so when it comes to are they okay? Are they eating? Are they? I have no idea. Sometimes I can see them move, like from left to right, but I have no idea how happy these things are. But they're alive, I think, at the moment. And it's been 2 weeks. So I have my fingers crossed that these things will sometime, at some point, sprout some legs.
I have to say, if it's minute, it's your newt, and it's not a frog.
Yeah, very good. Hey, I've got a random fact for you though. Did you
Go.
know that frogs, well, tadpoles don't have jaws?
I didn't, but I've never looked that closely. I must admit, as a child, I used to collect tadpoles. That was a great fun thing to do. And we had a fish tank at home, and then we'd find them all jumping all over the lounge.
Brilliant. Milo would be in heaven. So yeah, they don't have a jaw until they start to develop feet and legs. So until then, they've just kind of got this weird like straw-like mouth and a couple of random like teeth things. So they're kind of picking things off and kind of sucking it into their straw. It's the weirdest thing. Of course, ours are too small to see, but interesting to read about.
Oh, 100%. Let's move on to something a little more pleasant, like the fact it's going to be one of the best years for cider known to mankind.
Oh, did you say cider, Arjo? Don't mind if I do. Any excuse. Is it nine
I
o'clock?
did. Never mind the time. Why is it to be the best cider year? Well, because we had stunning weather earlier. Now, of course, you and I have got a Mars bar bet on the fact that it's going to be a cold, hard winter. In other words, I'm saying it's going to be a cold, hard winter. You're saying, Joe, you're talking
Bah
rubbish.
humbug. Bah humbug, I'm saying.
And I'm basing it just on country folklore. The fact that the fruit has been so prolific this year, the berries so early. I mean, the apple harvest has been incredible. And I think various cider makers are saying in like the 20 years of time they've been in business, this is going to be the best year ever. And I can understand that. I have got this little red love apple tree outside, laden down. It's almost on the floor, which would be unfortunate because the lawn maybe not that clean. And it's yielding so many apples. And I had tons and tons of cherries this year. So not just cider, but probably everything else as well.
Yeah, we had 50 figs, over 50 figs, which is amazing. Our tree's not very big, but it just keeps like, here you go, have some more. Of course, now it's cold. But yeah, our apples as well are pretty good. So yeah, maybe I should turn some of them into cider because at the moment I've put them in a box at the top of the on the road saying help yourself because I've just inundated. I don't eat that many apples.
There must be some cider maker close by. You live in the south after all.
I'll search him out for you, Arjo. Now, what's this
Yeah.
you were telling me about Volvos and indicators? I got a bit lost there, if I'm honest.
Well, do you know something? Fairly recently, I had a conversation with somebody, I can't remember who, about the noise that indicators make and where
Was
they find
this
that.
was this before or after the cider?
This was very definitely before the cider.
Okay,
And just
just
one of
checking.
those things that's incredibly intriguing. Where do they get the noise? Yeah, for indicators from? Is it computer generated? You know what happens? Why don't BMW have any? Oh, I didn't say that. Anyway, technically, I drive a BMW and I do use my indicators, so that's not true. However, in my life, I have owned quite a few Volvos. They're very safe. They're known for safety. And in
That is
fact,
true.
yeah, back in 1959, they developed the three-point seatbelt,
Oh, it
right?
was them that did that. That's interesting.
It was Volvo that did that. But more importantly, and this is why I feel completely okay with giving them a big plug here, they gave away the technology for free because it saved lives.
Oh, wow.
So
They didn't
they,
try and patent it or anything.
no, 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 they gave it to all other manufacturers. And it is now being heralded as like, sort of one of the most amazing advances in motoring safety. So I think, spot on to Volvo for that. But when it came to the indicators, they went, what we want is a nice, comforting noise that makes the driver feel safe. Okay. So they didn't go to computers. They didn't go to bleepy things at all. They
Hang
they
on,
went,
before you tell us what they did,
yeah.
what would you say was a comforting noise for you?
Something that's going to go tick tick tick. Well, the
Oh,
opposite of the thing that
is
tells you.
was that part of the remit? They needed a tick tick tick, or they just needed a comforting noise?
Well, I think because if you're nice and you switch your indicators on to let people know where you're going, which is always, I think, very polite.
Ideal.
Um, the fact that it has a nice noise is a good thing. But you know the noise you get when you don't put your seatbelt on,
Yes.
and then the car howls at you with something really
Yes,
horrible.
it's
Yeah,
me.
the kind of nightmares are made of. Absolutely. So anyway, so Volvo decided rather than go to a computer, they go out into the forests of Sweden. And I think there's about 70% of Sweden's landmass covered in forests, and they've got thousands of trees. So they spent 2 days breaking the branches of all the trees there, right?
Breaking the branches rather than listening for owls and
No,
bears.
no, they broke the branches and they recorded it, and then they checked. And I think they used a Swedish oak branch. The sound of a Swedish oak branch breaking. That's what you get when you switch a Volvo indicator on.
Wonder how different that is from a British oak branch. I think an experiment is needed, Joe. Do you fancy a holiday?
Sweden or a British forest?
Sweden. I can get
Oh,
an oak
definitely,
branch from
definitely.
outside.
But I was really impressed with that. I'll tell you something else about cars because you know that I can bore for England on these.
Oh yeah. So
Um,
wake me up when you're done.
a friend of mine bought a Jaguar, and it's got a start-stop thing. And apparently, um, the lights flash on it before you actually press the button to start the car. And um, the the way that the lights illuminate, it's the heartbeat of a Jaguar that's about to attack.
Oh wow. My kids would like that. They do like Jaguars.
Yeah, I thought that was fascinating.
Oh yeah, yeah, me too. Me too. Did you know that during a lunar eclipse, the Incas used to think that it was a jaguar attacking the moon?
No, that's a bit silly because the moon's a long way away.
Well, that's what they used to think. Anyway, moving on. That's the only anecdote I have of jaguars clutching at straws.
Meanwhile, it looks like we are going to see a bit of an Indian summer next week.
Does it? It can't be worse than at the moment. It's absolutely perishing out there, RJ.
Which country are you in?
The cloudy one.
Oh, that's a shame. It's really quite bright here out on the East Coast. But then the rain is coming. I know that. But then the high pressure builds into the south next week.
You're
Um,
right, it does. And it's the Azores high, so it's from the south and not bringing wind from the north.
yes.
Ah.
So, yes, we could be in for a really nice spell of weather next week. Not so for Scotland and Northern Ireland. It's one of those northwest southeast divides. But hey, by the time the weather changes again, we'll be back.